Hello and welcome along to this week's edition of The Match as we preview the visit of Athletic Bilbao to the Santiago Bernabeu on Saturday evening. Los Blancos are looking for their fifth successive win in La Liga against an Athletic side who, it's fair to say, have struggled somewhat so far this season. With me as ever to look ahead to the game is Tim Stannard. Tim, welcome along.
Nice to be here.
Now, Athletic Bilbao, a big traditional La Liga side, but actually this should be quite straightforward for Real Madrid.
That's right, yeah. Normally you'd like to come along and say, well, actually this is going to be a tough game. You've got to look out for the opposition. It's going to be difficult, but this is really a bit of a home banker despite it being Athletic Bilbao, this fantastic side from last season. Over the last 3 seasons in the league, they've conceded 14 goals at the Santiago Bernabeu, and they've sort of been, well, just a target practice of Real Madrid, and I can't see it going any other way on Saturday night.
Well, one player who we're expecting to feature for Real Madrid in that game is Cristiano Ronaldo. That's despite him taking a nasty knock to just above his eye in the last game against Levante. He's been speaking to CNN. We can bring you a little bit of that interview in which he spoke about his relationship with the manager Jose Mourinho, describing it as perfect.
I'm sure 100%. 200% that is the best coach, because he show every country which is the best, because you win all the leagues. So for me, the best coaches, they have to show in many places, and he show.
Cristiano Ronaldo actually has got a fantastic scoring record against Athletic Bilbao. I think it's 8 goals in his last 5 matches. He'll be desperate to play, and he will play, won't he? Yeah,
but it's kind of a difficult week for Ronaldo. Of course, he scored that goal with only one eye against Levante, a fantastic goal when you think about the technique needed in that. And he would have been away with Portugal this week, but in a sense, he's had a bit of a rest while his eye repaired, and he's back in training on Thursday and Friday as well, so he should be fine for the game. But so he had a little bit of a rest, you could say, a little bit of time to relax, because there's some big games ahead, of course, starting with Athletic Bilbao, where he has got a fantastic record, and the small matter of a midweek Champions League visit to Manchester City, which, out of anyone, he's going to be so fired up for that one. So it's good news that he's back in action.
Absolutely, and you touched upon the fact that he had a little bit of a rest, like some of the other players in the Real Madrid squad as well this week. We did have international matches. Not all the players in the Real Madrid squad did go to their respective national teams. A few players went off with Spain, Casillas, Ramos, Albiol. They were all involved in a 5-1 win in Panama. But like we said, it is actually quite good news that not all the Real Madrid internationals were involved with their national teams.
Absolutely, you can see Iker Casillas here, and of course Sergio Ramos, who scored in that game against Panama on a world tour. I think it's more of a promotional marketing tour at the moment for the World and European Championships, rather anything they can get out of it footballistically, and here's a chance for fans around the world, whether especially Real Madrid fans, to see their players, live, as you could say. Albiol got to start the game, which is good news, but as you said, there was a few players didn't travel, so the so-called FIFA virus, when players come back injured, didn't happen. Ozil and Khedira missed out for Germany. Of course, Ronaldo didn't travel with Portugal. Higuain didn't travel for Argentina, nor Benzema for France, nor Marcelo, nor Xabi Alonso Arbeloa. So for them, it would have been their first week off, perhaps for some of them, since the start of the season. So a good chance just to chill out, if that's the right expression, after that Levante match, which was a heck of a battle.
It certainly was. So actually, the Real Madrid squad, after a few trying weeks with injuries and some problems there, they've had a week off. Now we should expect to see them come back to almost full strength.
Absolutely, and they've got some very big games coming up, of course, Athletic Bilbao, although it's still going to be 90 minutes, a difficult 90 minutes they'll come out. Then they're off to play Manchester City in a vital match. They need to get something out of that. Then it's away to Betis, who are in the Champions League places at the moment. Then it's going to be Copa del Rey, and then it's going to be Atletico Madrid. So they do need to get some of these players back, and that's what's happening at the moment, and that's why some of those players not travelling for friendlies has done them some good. So we will see some players back. I think we're going to see Benzema back and Khedira as well. And of course it helps someone like Arbeloa as well to take a little bit of time out, and Cristiano Ronaldo as well. So it's been a good week, I think, perhaps for club, maybe not for their countries. Some of them would have enjoyed their players being with them.
Well, absolutely, but their loss is Real Madrid's gain. Speaking of Real Madrid, let's hear from the assistant boss, Aitor Karanka, who's been speaking ahead of the match with Athletic Bilbao.
Well, as you say, Athletic have always been tough rivals. Historically, they always have been in the league. Knowing them as I do, even though they have a few absentees through injury, they will still be just as competitive right up until the final whistle.
Like we said, it hasn't been the best season for Athletic Bilbao, and they don't actually have a very good record at the Santiago Bernabeu in recent seasons. Let's take a look at who Tim thinks is going to be starting the match for Real Madrid against the team from the Basque Country on Saturday evening, and just talk us through your selection.
Yeah, we're starting to see a more conventional starting 11 after we're seeing SEN at full-back, etc., etc. So, yeah, Arbeloa now getting back to fitness. Ramos back at centre-back. Quintrao, I thought, had a good game against Levante on his return. Sami Khedira, very important that he's back as well, thinking about the Manchester City game. Callejon has been very, very impressive out there, and Di Maria did travel with Argentina, so I think Callejon will deserve a start, and perhaps thinking about Di Maria for the Manchester City game. But the same way, maybe Ozil isn't quite right. I think Modric will get a start in this particular match, and Karim Benzema. So they got a real number 9, as you could say, as opposed to a false number 9 back again, and Karim Benzema just in time again for some really big games coming up. So a more normal-looking 11 there for Real Madrid, which is probably bad news for Athletic Bilbao.
Well, it is. Let's talk a little bit about Athletic Bilbao. Last season, they got to the final of the Copa del Rey, they got to the final of the Europa League. They illuminated Europe with some scintillating football. This season's not quite gone to plan.
Well, this is an interesting stat. I've been doing some research. They've actually got the same number of points, which is 14, as they had last season, but it feels very, very different. Last year, they actually started quite slowly under Bielsa as they tried to adjust to his ways, his tactical ways, but this season it's been very disappointing. They've got the 3rd worst defence in the division, which is something you do not expect from Athletic Bilbao, and tactically this is where it's gone wrong for them. And also they concede the most number of shots on target. Normally you get 8 shots on target per game. Incidentally, Real Madrid the least with 3, and part of the reason there, Javi Martinez went quite late to Bayern Munich, so that midfield defensive cover's gone. They're not really scoring enough because Fernando Llorente has been outcast. He's perfectly fit, but he's now on the bench, hasn't started a single league game. So Bielsa is having trouble, you could say, communicating with a team that looks dispirited, that looks unhappy, that's lost his way. And it is an interesting fact that Bielsa has never coached at a club for more than 2 seasons, because I think he can tend to rub people up the wrong way. He doesn't have the best communication skills for any particular manager. So he's probably run his course, even though he's only been there a year and a bit. But it's very disappointing to see, and they're just about out of Europe now in their Europa League group. So all they've got left is the league. But they're missing a couple of players. They're missing Herrera, they're missing De Marcos, there's no Llorente. Aduric is doing OK, so it's not looking good for them at all.
Certainly isn't, and that means it's looking good for Real Madrid by default. Let's take a look at some of the other games that will be kicking off in Spain this weekend. Osasuna against Malaga, quick prediction?
I'm going to go for a home win there. Another disappointing defeat for Malaga.
Valencia against Espanyol.
Home win for Valencia.
Barcelona are hosting Zaragoza.
Not lost this game since 1966, so a home win for Barcelona.
Real Madrid against Athletic Bilbao.
A big 4-0 win for Real Madrid.
Deportivo La Coruña hosting Levante.
A team who can't score, a team who can't defend, so a draw.
Mallorca travelling to Galicia to take on Celta Vigo.
7th consecutive defeat for Mallorca, home win for Celta.
Getafe hosting Valladolid.
Big game there. I think a narrow home win for Getafe.
Atletico Madrid travelling to Granada.
Away win for Atletico.
The big Seville derby, Sevilla hosting Betis.
Sevilla can't afford to lose this one, they're not doing well, so I think it's going to be a draw.
And the Monday night fixture sees Rayo Vallecano travel to the Basque Country to take on Real Sociedad.
Real Sociedad normally fairly good at home, so a home win against Rayo, who are normally fairly bad away.
Okay, and there is a comprehensive roundup of what Tim thinks is going to happen on matchday 12 in the Spanish top flight here in the capital. And you heard Tim there suggest a 4-0 victory for Real Madrid. Nice and confident indeed. That's all we've got time for this week on The Match. Make sure you join us on Tuesday for a special Champions League edition of the programme. But until then, from Tim and myself, it's adios.